Erik Swanson, Steve Schaff, and Dean Cambray. Victoria Dean, our partner, is on assignment. She's a business consultant and bookkeeper extraordinaire, and particularly in January, it's always a very hot month and busy month for her. So she's closing loops on year end and taking care of business and her clients and getting ready for the tax season, which is right now. We're at our friendly confines, hosted by the Oregon Golf Club up here on beautiful Pete's Mountain in West Lynn.
Trophy room.
The trophy room. Had a lot of good moments here. So this has been our one of our sponsors and our hosts. So it's a great location, and I'm a member here, and it's always wonderful to have visitors and guests on our podcast. What we wanted to talk about today with all of you is to give you an update and just kind of see where we are going into the new year. I've been spending a great deal of my time touching bases with my referral partners, consultants, my clients and prospects, and I've been really pleasantly surprised with the outreach. People are ready to get busy for January, and as we're talking here, it's a beautiful sunny day. I mean, I don't really think there's not a lot of clouds out there, and it's really an exciting time to be here in Oregon this time of year.
It's cold.
It's cold, but it's not raining, and so there's always optimism. And so we thought today we could spend some time just kind of talking about what we're doing heading into the new year, maybe how the year end closed, and what we're looking for really towards the new year. So, and what we're working on. Anybody would like to offer up what they're working on?
Go for it.
Thanks, mate. I've been working on a cookbook for a company. So they own 5 restaurants in Portland, and they're opening up a 6th soon, which is interesting because when you think most restaurants are just hanging on, these guys are thriving. So it's really kind of
wonderful.
A lesson in why they're doing so well. I mean, the food's lovely and that type of thing, but there's a lot of places doing really good food, but just hanging on. So we are doing a cookbook, taking it from a concept, their written manuscript stage, photography, style, and propping all the way through the creative elements, and then working on, I don't do it all myself. I have a designer in Australia that's designing it, and then we're doing distribution deals, printing deals, and then work on the online sales and how it kind of gets seen kind of on a global market. And our influence is everything, because we look at how it's styled, how it looks, how it sounds, and then simultaneously we're working with these people as well. There's room in the Pacific Northwest for kind of hero chefs, not trying to superstar Gordon Ramsay, that type of thing, but people really contributing to the business. You know, everyone's leaving Portland; they're staying in Portland, and they want to promote obviously the 2 owners, Portland itself, their team of people. So it's really kind of a new way of running restaurants. Like, I come from that old, from a HR's point of view, an absolute. I mean, I was knocked out cold 3 times in the kitchen during service.
Cold cocked.
No, concussion. Like, push me under the bench. I'll see you at the end of service. Like, really. But it's the way they kind of run their business, and it's really inspiring. You know, it's like it's the modern way. So
HR really hasn't reached the kitchen yet to an extent. There still is kind of like the kind of like in the athletic parlance, it's hands off the locker room, but what goes on stays on in the kitchen. So there's a lot of fire and brimstone in kitchens that often, HR just is not allowed in there. And I mean that to an extent of it's a stress environment. There's a lot of, emotion in terms of it can be kind of violent. You're hot flames and you're trying to work around everybody. And so there isn't a lot of time for empathy. When you're trying to get dinner service is what I mean. So there's a lot of foul language, and you've got to have a rough, you got to be able to stand strong.
It's kind of funny. I got into it really young. So like when I was 14.
It was my first job. I was at a restaurant.
In that kind of violence, and I never forget my first chef. I mean, terrified me. Absolutely terrified me. For years, I was with him. I mean, he used to, the old Bonza can openers? He used to pull them out and beat the kitchen hand with them. Like, he was full on. And it was really funny.
So he didn't use spatulas. He used his hands.
He used the hands-on.
That's a if you know, you know. It was a joke. Yeah.
And he was just intense. And the funny thing was, once you proved yourself with him, he ran the larder, which was all the meat prep, terrines, all the raw ingredients, not vegetables, meat, come through the larder. Game birds were hung. We made every single thing, even to this day. We made everything, butter, bacon.
We've talked about this, about making things from scratch. Yeah.
And when you was in the larder, when you looked at the roster and you was in the larder with him, that meant you was one of his boys. You were now in the club. And I'll never forget seeing my name on the roster and it said, Dino L. And I thought,
Really?
and
Language.
oh, yeah,
But he can
I'll
mentor
beat
you.
that.
But I mean, but he mentored you, right? So that would
He
be.
mentored me. He screamed and abused me for. I won't go into it now. But anyway, so
Hit you with a chicken.
I'm digressing, but I was waiting in the larder, and he come in with 2 cups of tea. He goes, "There you go, Dino, my old love." That was it. I was in.
Okay.
He goes, "Do me a favour, Petal. Can you clean out the fridge today?" The usual guy who works in here, which was him, is a right dirty bastard. He said, and that was it. Michelin star, country hotel, total. So what I'm doing for these guys is, I got way off track there, was building a documentary series that's going to run through a channel, then be broken down through all their social media, and a mixture of really personal, soulful stuff, and just some stuff that's just call to action, like what we're doing for Mother's Day, or staff and the new restaurant and that type of thing. So, yeah.
Steve and I were talking, and I was saying that, well, it was me talking and Steve listening, because I never let Steve talk, I know. But I was saying that I like the why. I am fascinated about us. I want to learn the story of, like on websites, restaurants need to stand out, businesses need to stand out, and hearing their story does get me turned on. I mean, do people really look at websites before of restaurants before they go? Maybe not. But when you go to the
Yelp
restaurant,
review.
yes. When you're at the restaurant, what's the derivation of what makes this place thrive? What's the hook? And I'm fascinated by entrepreneurs that realize that you really need to have a story, a story behind that presentation.
And it's like these days, it's paramount. It's just absolutely paramount. If you look at the great brands, Yeti, they have an e-commerce on their site, but they also do Yeti stories. You're very honoured to be asked to film them, and you're very honoured to be asked to be a recipient of the attention. Huckberry, the clothing range, you look at their Dirt series on YouTube. Absolutely, talk about style. It's like absolutely amazing. Even Marks and Spencer's in the UK. I don't know if you see that story on Marks and Spencer's on, I think it's on Netflix or Amazon. Just about their Christmas special, all the stuff they go to. Now you look at their food. It's the trust, the soul. It's what it's all about. If you're not doing it, that's going to be my tip for later on. But it is just, they've got to learn to love you and trust you, and it's an opportunity.
I've been talking about a company locally forever, Sesame Donuts, and
Great donuts.
Portland.
Great donuts.
Portland has iconic donut shops, and his family were immigrants from Lebanon.
Yeah.
And I'm just fascinated by they're a close-knit family of immigrants that are arch capitalists that have a real they have a big heart, and they employ a lot of different people from different cultures. And I value eating there because I know what they're about. I know the owners, and so to me, it's not that I need to know the owner, but I like knowing. I want to support small business. I like seeing what they're doing in the communities, and small businesses are hiring. That's where all the hiring opportunities are. So,
you talk about hooks. Sorry to cut you
No.
off there.
No.
When I've said it before that I got into publishing by mistake. We went on to do,
because you got to tell your story.
but every book, everyone's different. You see, like one guy's got a radio show, so he can talk about it on. So he has his audience. Another person has a huge community. So the hook sounds like it's a fake pitch, but it's just what is special about you. So I mean, you might be just starting off in a food van, for example. You haven't got the cost to go and buy organic, go to organic farms. You want to buy great ingredients, but you want them as cheap as you can. Obviously, all fresh, all beautiful to make your margins. So you're not going to bang on about, hey, I'm going to the markets this morning to pick up my pork, blah, blah, blah. But you may be cooking your grandmother's recipe or your mum's recipe. This is something that my mum used to cook for me at Christmas. This was my favourite snack. She used to cook it for us all once we come home from footy. You know, you're not lying, it's true. You're not taking anything away from the food, and it creates an interest, and then that's how you get people in. And then you might have, you build up your followers, and then all of a sudden, out of you have story, romance, and then you have a call to action. We're doing this today, 5% off, and all these people who follow you in your area then go, hey, I'm going to try this, or we're available for catering in summer, and it's how you do it. You know, it's individual, and it needs a lot more effort. You know, it needs a lot more effort.
And really, the overarching comment about, I made about, I'm fascinated, about us, or, what's our story. Really what I'm trying to determine with everybody that I work with or businesses is when I talk to the business owner and they're struggling, and it's usually with employment, it's with pace, meeting the increasing levels that employees need to earn, an excess money or XYZ amount of money, and they can't afford it. So what can you do to recruit and attract and retain employees? So long story longer, I'll say, what makes this a good place to work? And often the employer is, they're flat-footed. They've never really been asked that. And they'll say, they're getting darn good pay, and they got healthcare, and they should be happy to be here.
That's not good enough.
And I don't say it that directly, but it's not good enough. And so they've never really thought about, why would somebody want to be here? So you've built and spent all this time working on the business, or you've been working in the business. In the business. You see the value of it. You see what you're doing. You're creating and growing. But then you really need to now start. If you want your business to be sustainable, you have to work on it. You have to be able to develop that message, deliver your culture. Why do people want to come to your restaurant? Why do people want to use your services? Why you? What's the hook? And so I've been raised with that. What's the hook? And if you cannot articulate it very succinctly, then, next. And that's where people's choices are. If it's too busy here, I'm going to go there.
And it has to be a real hook, because you have to talk about it through the life of your business.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about a 2-for-1 kind of a hook thing. I'm talking about what is and I'm not putting words in your mouth. You didn't say that, but what is the reason why somebody is going to go there or participate in your business or want to work there? You've really got to think that through. And honestly, it's a never-ending question. You've got to always be striving for progress in some way.
Yeah.
What about you, Steve?
Well, actually, I have a question for Dean.
Okay.
Do you want to give a plug of the restaurants? Because I'm always in the market for a good restaurant.
I can't plug it yet.
You can't plug it yet. Okay.
No, I can't plug it yet.
Maybe we can do a little
We
offline. But
we can, yeah. I can't plug it yet because we're still it's all in pieces.
all right, because I got to tell you, my wife and I have gone to a lot of good restaurants, and we've gone to a lot of bad restaurants, and it's hard to get a good restaurant, and so again, supporting the small business.
What I will do is I'll put in the links below 10 places that I've been to through Edible Portland, which is really
Oh, good.
Oh, that'd be
local,
good.
well priced,
Yeah.
and just really, just nice.
Good.
Just really good.
Yeah. So what have I been up to? Well, the last 3 months have been insanely busy. It's been really, really busy. In fact, I had to bring on a contractor to do some overflow work. I had an office move for a chiropractor where they're like, hey, we lost our lease. They're kicking us out of our building. We're moving. And it's like, okay, great. When? Friday. Okay, all right, perfect. That sounds great. And so
That's the way you have to answer. You got to respond that way.
Okay,
That's why
let's do it.
That's right. That's right.
Bring it. And so, it's been very busy for us, for me specifically, but for my team. And one of the things that I've been hit with, like last night, and most of today, was a attorney that I do some. It's called break fix. It's on-demand work. Whenever they have, hey, this computer doesn't work. It's on demand. Well, they got hacked. Yeah, got hacked. And so the hackers, which we call bad actors, they sent emails to everybody in their address book, everybody that they ever contacted, and said, hey, this is a invoice for or a past due invoice, and here's a payment link and everything. And it went out to everyone. And so right now we're doing damage control because there's nothing else you can do.
This is a law firm.
It's a law firm. And it's a 6-person law firm. So companies out there, people out there that are small business that don't think, hey, this will ever happen to me, it happens. It happens every single day. And in fact, the way they got hacked was they responded to an email from another attorney that got hacked.
So you were able to trace.
We're able to trace it and say, okay, when did this begin? What was the action? And it turned out that this email from this law firm that they work with, sent an email to the attorney. The attorney's out of office, and then they are managing their their attorney's mailbox, and they're like, oh, well, let's open up this attachment.
So you're able to digitally track. So when you heard this, in your mind, you knew what you needed to do to drill down to how this derived, where it came from. How long did it take you from initial hearing about it,
hours.
the analysis to
Hours.
that's it?
Hours. Yeah.
That fast?
We can do it within like 3-4 hours. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Well, it's not fast enough.
Certainly.
It's not fast
Certainly.
enough. But my initial thing is, and Dean's gonna laugh, change your passwords. 14 characters, mixed case. Enable MFA. That's multi-factor authentication. That's that code you get on your phone or they text it to you. Make sure that's enabled. Dean's laughing because he's heard me say this over and over and over. And also use a password manager. Never repeat your passwords. And putting a 1 at the end or putting an exclamation at the end is not good enough. It has to be very unique. So I've been dealing with that for the last 12 hours.
Oh my goodness.
So, sleep was not an option.
It's embarrassing for the company as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah, they have to email everybody and go, hey, if you get an email from us saying this, don't open it, which makes you look really bad.
And law firms need to have security.
What about their client files?
Huh?
Their client files okay?
No, it's all compromised. They got into everything.
Wow.
So client files, email, everything on your SharePoint, everything on your OneDrive, it's all done. It's all done. So
That's breathtaking.
yeah, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. So now we're just doing damage control, and they have to report to the Oregon Bar Association, saying we got compromised.
So Steve, when you have a client or an experience like that, is that what drives you from a messaging standpoint? Without certainly naming the company, but to be able to give relevant examples. How do you get that message out to your network and I mean certainly this way, but to the public so they can appreciate this, because obviously we're not. Yeah. You never think it's going to happen to you.
You never think it's going to happen to you until it does. the way I do it is, I have done it through podcasting. I've done it through social media posts. But really it's word of mouth. It's you telling, oh, I got hacked the other day and, PDXIT is taking care of it, and this is what we're doing, and this is how we're dealing with it. And, oh, well, maybe I should, talk to Steve about, my security. And, we come in and we do a security assessment and we say, hey, here are your holes. And if you want us to take care of it, great. If you don't, that's fine too. You have the information. And that's basically what I did with this attorney that I've been working with. I mean, I've been working with them for several years now. And I told him, hey, here are your holes. And they're like, okay, well, we don't have the money to spend $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 at a stretch. We'll deal with it.
You find there's a lot of complacency,
There is.
and people think, "Hey, I'm too small."
I'm too small. They're not going to come after
They're not
me.
gonna
There's
come after
nothing there.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah. I mean, and it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And, the owner, who's the attorney, is freaking out, rightfully so. And I'm like, dude, all we can do right now is damage control. Everything's out. Everything's done.
yeah. Wow.
Do you find that? Well, here's a simple question: do your clients or prospects, do they have cyber insurance?
In
of any
cybersecurity
kind?
insurance,
Or
some do.
cybersecurity of some kind?
Some do, some don't. A lot of companies do not have cybersecurity insurance, which I would say you really should have. You really should have cybersecurity insurance. Talk to your insurance person about it. If you need one, I've got a good one. But yeah, you really should have it because, in this example, you're going to have other companies that are going to click on this link. They're going to get compromised, and well, we're kind of a sue-happy society. They're going to sue this attorney, saying, "Hey, I clicked on this link because you sent it to us, and now you're on the hook for damages."
Good point.
And so it's a horrible, horrible situation.
Gives me anxiety.
You have anxiety?
A couple of years ago, I was up here playing golf with a business colleague and a friend, and his name's Jeremy. And Jeremy was telling me about, and he was a big player at a regional commercial insurance firm, and he was just kind of matter of factly saying that this client of theirs got an email and from the agency.
Mm-hmm.
They thought, but the address, or maybe it's the other way around, but the email address had not really been looked at close enough, and there was some symbols that were off that would have, instantly like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And somebody penetrated the insurance firm's database, whatever, and submitted an invoice, transferred $60,000 to this entity. I think it might have been $120,000. It was just an over-the-top number. And they were able to, through cybersecurity insurance, they were able to, get that ameliorated and replenished, and they were able to kind of figure it out. But, this is happening right here in town, to anybody and everybody, just because of an email. And even in my own personal email, I'm getting invoices sent to me every single day that are really closely looking like you got to get these paid. Norton antivirus, or they're clearly spam. But for somebody like me that wants to, I want to get things done. I want to get things clean. I want to get things done.
And
they're misleading. Yeah.
Remind me to send you an invoice.
Yeah, no doubt.
Get that paid quickly.
And you can see that and within the bureaucracies of businesses, where in many cases, people are kind of, you just get it done, and you have the authority to do those things, that you do it, and you don't realize it could be dangerous. So that gives me a lot of anxiety about, what businesses are having to deal with. And I have these kinds of conversations holistically with businesses about improving them, making them smarter, better, faster, and it really comes with, hiring good people and getting out of the way. But those good people sometimes can cause problems unbeknownst to them by
even though you have
clicking on wrong
cybersecurity
insurance
insurance,
or clicking on wrong websites or anything.
yeah, but even if you have cybersecurity insurance, that does not mean that you're going to get paid out.
That's right.
Because on the cybersecurity form, it says, do you have firewall? Do you have this? Do you have antivirus? Do you have
And if you don't, it
password
buries all of it.
management?
Right.
And so you're like, okay, well, no, I don't have a password manager. I use the same password over and over and over. Well, that's a problem. No, I don't have a firewall. No, I don't have antivirus on my machine. I mean, you go down the checklist, and if they say, hey, you didn't meet these requirements, Daddy don't get paid.
Cost is a big thing, isn't it, for everybody?
It is a big thing. But I mean, if you look at it, this is going to be expensive. My fees alone are going to be very expensive. And
To fix it rather than on the upfront side, it's
Yeah.
probably cheaper than it is in the back end side,
it
of
is.
course.
It is so much cheaper to do it up front than trying to do this after the fact, because now we're doing mitigation, we're doing investigation, we're putting in new equipment. My fees alone are going to be high.
I'm taking notes because these are all really good things to be talking about and relaying to businesses. Because for me and Jen, I'm spending a lot of time with, lining up my partners who I refer business to and receive from, and talking to a lot of business consultants. I've been not surprised, but pleasantly impressed with the attitude of, this is last year, we're ready to move forward. And
We're going forward.
I can't speak for everybody, but I do have a general sense that last year was not a fun year for anybody on a personal or a professional level.
I would agree with that.
And no hints there. It was just a challenging year, I think, for everybody, and economically and just economically and personally, and so I've kind of vibed that out a little bit. That there's an enthusiasm about January, and I've talked to about maybe a dozen or so different individuals. There is a great deal of enthusiasm, which kind of leads me to believe they just want to get going in this year. And there's optimism. There's positivity. Change is in the air, and it's going to be another challenging year. But I'm optimistic. I do. The economy is now. We're going to have another full year. We'll have really a full year of implementing the government's policies economically, which are supposed to help businesses. So through hook or crook, there should be some financial relief for businesses this year. Come April, the Oregon State kicker is going to be coming through for all of us based on the past 2 years. So with the financial,
Oh, do we get a check?
we're going to get a check.
Okay.
So in my case, that'll help pay my tax bill, and so it'll just reduce the amount. But just economically speaking, I'm anticipating a robust year. I think it's going to be a better year, but there's going to be more challenges, certainly. And the more challenges are that more and more of the businesses that I'm working with are now they're owned by private equity firms and that are out of state. And those private equity firms that are not really local and directly involved, they have an expectation to meet a certain profit percentage, and that's what you buy into when you accept private equity money. And there's a cold reality to that as well, that you either fish or cut bait if you don't reach those numbers of expectations for those businesses. And so I'm finding a little more of a cold-hearted purity of capitalism out in the market now, with some employers that are larger, that have that private equity backing. They've lost their local, provincial kind of representation. I mean, an example of that would be, an extreme example of that would be Pacific Foods of Oregon, a local organic ingredients and soup maker that was bought by Campbell Soup for $750 million a few years ago. They're gone. They're not here anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now Campbell's isn't private equity, but that plant's not here anymore. Those jobs aren't here anymore. They're gone.
Yeah.
So, the example I'm trying to give is that it's become a little harsher. Business is a little more aggressive than it has been in terms of making decisions, but small businesses they've got to produce this year. So I'm excited about being able to communicate administrivia, breaking down barriers, freeing up employers to focus on what they do best, to do best and not be bogged down on administrivia. I want to ask businesses, why do people want to work here? What makes your companies great? Give me an idea what that is, and I'll help them implement that so they can focus on churning out their product and becoming profitable. I deal in cost centers. So I'm excited about what I have to offer businesses this year, because now I have more arrows in my quiver and resources to provide like never before. So I'm anticipating having a more robust business development season this year, because I can provide more to more businesses, and I'm very excited about that. So I feel like the wind's behind me. And a lot of businesses they have a little more understanding. There was instability and kind of, we don't know, in March and April of 2025, I had businesses saying, we have just enough cash flow to get us through the end of the year. These tariffs are really scaring us. We don't know what to do about whether we're going to raise our costs, we're going to pass it on to the consumers, or so on and so forth. Businesses now have a little more clarity about what the year is going to look like. They've seen it, they're battle tested. And so it's an election year, it's a midterm year, so it's an exciting year. I think it's going to be a good year. So overall, I'm excited. I'm very optimistic, and I'm glad to be here, because these gentlemen and Victoria are vital to my existence. We all work very closely together to support the small businesses in the field. So when to come full circle, I'm excited for all of us, because particularly you, Dean, I was reading yesterday about in downtown Portland, foot traffic has increased.
Yes, I saw that too.
And that bodes well for the businesses that are down there, for the restaurants, the entertainment, that really creates the vibrancy of our downtown area. However, occupancies in businesses continue to stay low and below expectations. But with foot traffic expanding downtown, that means that's a very good sign that people are coming out, and the city is certainly safer than it has been with all the political violence and nonsense. And so it's we need that. And we're known for having really good food and really good resources and places for businesses to go for lunch and to go take their clients. And so when Portland is a little more robust, or there's good news there, that helps a lot of us. A lot of businesses, not just for business lunches, but just for overall. They're the big fish they're the big seat at the table. I should say, the big seat at the table. So I root for Portland every day.
On that note, we've reached the 4-hour limit for this 20-minute podcast.
Well, thank you for joining us. Look forward to talking to you again, seeing you again, and tune in next week for another exciting episode of War Room Roundtable. So thanks so much for joining.
Live on tape.